and respect your time. Our goal is to not make this too long because I know how busy we all are, but we will have that question and answer at the end. So if you guys do have questions,
Welcome to the world of Zoom, where we lose people in mid-sentence. This is just part and parcel of the whole virtual learning experience. So that was a good way to welcome you all, because I think we lost Miss Richardson.
well, shoot, you can not hear me?
No, we lost you there for a bit.
Okay, am I back?
You're back.
Okay, meeting expectations. Stay muted. It helps things run smoother on our end so that we don't have to stop and figure out who's talking. If you do come across a question at any point in time, just jot it down and ask us during our Q&A. If you have to leave, that is fine. We know people are coming in late. We're just going to keep admitting throughout the whole meeting. It's not a big deal. And there is just a quick agenda, just an introduction. I'll go over math, Mr. Weinberger will go over writing, Ms. Jack will go over social studies, and Ms. Friend will go over reading, and then we'll do our Q&A. And if you don't have any questions, then you don't have to stay for this last part. So I'm gonna stop sharing my screen and show you my face. I am Miss Richardson. If we have not met before, I am the math teacher. Any other teachers on here want to introduce yourself?
I'm Miss Friend, and I am the 5th grade reading teacher this year.
I'm Jared Weinberger. I am the 5th grade writing teacher this year.
And is Miss, oh, there she is. Miss Jack, you want to introduce yourself?
I think she might be having a connection issue as well.
Okay.
Sorry, my internet connection's kind of shady at home. Hopefully, I'm on my deck. Hopefully it's better. I'm Miss Jack. I'm the social studies teacher.
And Miss Wilbur, will you introduce yourself?
Yes, hi, I'm Penny Wilbur. I'm the special education teacher, and I come in and out of all the rooms for resource when we're, or for co-teach when we're in person. So I help any student, whether they're special ed or not, when I'm in a co-teach classroom.
Okay, so that is your 5th grade teachers. I'll go ahead and start and do a quick overview about what I do in math class. So the first few days I tried to show your kids around and show them some tips and some tricks to make their life a little bit easier. And then we started content last week in our workbooks. And when I'm at school, I have my document camera set up, and we have been just kind of working through this. We're starting with volume. It's basic multiplication problems. They're learning to multiply length times width times height, and so we're reviewing with flashcards a little bit each day just to get those skills memorized. So this is the book that we've been working in. It's kind of a lot of copying right now. I try to get them to participate over in that chat box. They can talk to just me, so I have them reply to their answer. It keeps them engaged. It lets me see who's participating. And then I'm able to reply back if they're having trouble. So I can kind of lead them in some guiding questions to get to the right answer if they are struggling. At the end of class, I have been giving an exit ticket, and that is in my Google Classroom, which I'll show you in just a second. It's a quick 2-question, multiple choice, click your answer, turn it in and you're done kind of exit ticket, just so I can see how the kids are doing through this virtual experience, because I know this is new and different for all of us. I still want to be able to track your kids' progress. If they miss something, I send them an email before the day is up. I just put all their email addresses into a blind carbon copy email so no one knows who is getting it. And I'm just like, hey, you missed the exit ticket today. Maybe you didn't see the link or maybe you forgot. Here's the direct link and it's in their email, so they just have to click it. And that just, I know there's a lot going on, and that's just one more way for me to try to make it easier on them. And then even if they don't do that, I try to pull them in privately before class starts and say, hey, go to this link real quick. You'll have it done before I let everybody in. And I've not had a problem out of that yet. And that's pretty much all I'm doing. There's no homework. There's nothing outside of my live class except for that exit ticket. I know there's a lot going on at home. I know they have other classes. I'm not trying to add any stress, but I still want to try to teach them during this time. So that's my goal in math. I'm going to share my screen real quick. There we go. So this is what my teacher end looks like. I am in all of the classes so I can see everything. And you can see right here on the little ticket at the bottom of each class, it says what's due in each class and what's coming up. So that's just kind of a quick look at your kid's week if you wanted to pull that up. This website is classroom.google.com, or you can come over to the waffle over here, and it's one of these apps, Classroom right here. It'll take you to the same site. One of the nice features about Google Classroom is there's a calendar right here. Let me show you how I did that again. These 3 lines are a menu. And when you click on calendar, it's like a digital planner. So we're not passing out planners this year. So this is a digital way for your child to keep up. And anytime we assign anything, it shows up. So all kids have access to this and they don't have to keep track of anything. They can click on the assignment, like I know this one is math, and it will take them to that assignment. If I click on it from here, it takes you to my grade book. So I'm not going to do that. But we'll go back to classes. And this is my math class. There are announcements here on the stream. I try to keep it real simple. I've only made, I think, 4 announcements at all this year. Here's our upcoming dates over to the side. So they have an exit ticket that's due today. I think I have all but 2 or 3 of the kids, so we're getting better at that. And then up here at the top is a classwork tab. This is where the kids need to go for pretty much everything. I have my daily Zoom links. So there's my Zoom link for all my classes, everything for me. Miss Wilbur's link is here. The related arts link is here. And then the art and guidance schedule is right here because that's every other week and sometimes that's hard to keep up with. This is a form if your child wants to have a private one-on-one session with Miss Hall to talk about something. Any child can sign up and she'll make contact and speak with that child. My home room has a morning meetup section, just like we played a commonalities game last week. So this was the game board that we did last week. And then here are the 2 weeks of work that we've done so far. I try to keep the current week on the top just so that it is the first thing that they see. Here is the exit ticket from today. It even says over here, due today. The kids click on this. It pulls it down into a Google form, and that is the exit ticket. They'll click on that. They'll type in their name. They click on red or blue for their schedule, and it's 2 questions. Now, these are grayed out because they are scheduled to be posted later this week. And once those are posted, your child will have access to them. So last week we did an exit ticket Tuesday, Wednesday, and then we took that quiz in class on Friday. And that's basically it. That is my Google Classroom. So I'm going to stop share and I'm going to let Mr. Weinbarger take over for writing.
All right, guys, good evening. Again, my name is Jared Weinberger. I teach 5th grade writing. I hope that you hear me well. I live very far out in the country, so if you live where I live, then you're also possibly having some internet issues. If I do happen to go out, hopefully one of my teammates will let me know. Much like Ms. Richardson, in a moment here, I'm going to share with you my class. I'll do Google Classroom so that you are able to see how your child has been accessing their information so that they can be successful in writing class. Writing class is a similar format as Ms. Richardson, where we spend a good part of our day working through our workbook. It's the same series, the iWriting series, in this case, the writing book. After that, students then have a couple of different things they do after class. My goals go right around 35 to 40 minutes in class time, with about 15 to 20 minutes of independent work time after class. That independent work time usually involves a writing prompt that I'll give during class, and then that's complete independently after class is over. It may also include an exit slip, like today, which is again similar to Ms. Richardson's exit slip that she's been doing, and I'll show you that in a few moments. As well as a really important thing I want them to access through our Clever Docs, as well as other information that they'll need. Typing app that's allowing them to practice their typing online learning. Typing skills will be important more in the classroom. Students will be typing their writing assignments to me. This is a 3x3 array. Click on Classrooms. This is what pops up in front of you. You can see that here. Oops, it's going to reload for us as we do that. You guys get to see how slow the internet is out here as it's loading right now. But again, like Ms. Richardson showed you, there is a calendar feature. Ms. Richardson pointed out the calendar feature to you, as well as one of her exit slips, and you may have saw mine as well. Today, our students in writing class did complete a exit slip. Mine is labeled in green. It was called Guided Practice Page 9, Pro-Con. And where it says page 9 here, that's because it's referencing a workbook page that we worked through together as a class. In most cases, exit slips will have a reference to a page that students can then use to help them be successful with that assignment. As we jump back to our classes now, you can see my writing class here, 5th grade writing. Students will select this to enter my classroom. Just like Ms. Richardson's class, my class begins with a stream, which is a good place to find announcements. Here you can see an announcement that was added this morning. It says our first exit slip has just been posted. You can find the link directly below this announcement. Do not complete the assignment until after today's writing class. This link can also be found by selecting the Classwork tab at the top of the classroom and then selecting assignments. So one thing I did today as a part of our class is just what I'm doing right now. I shared my screen with the students so they could see me reading the announcement to them, as well as the two different access points for today's assignment. Again, directly below, here's that link again, new assignment, guided practice page 9. But really, the students are beginning to realize the best way to access all classwork, like Ms. Richardson said a few moments ago, is through the Classwork tab. If you select that, much like the classroom we just saw, there are different topics. I have an assignments topic, and I've placed that at the top so that students can easily find that. That'll be the most important tab for them to find. Below that, I have information for my homeroom class, where we're doing our morning meetups. If you're one of the parents of a student who's in my homeroom, you know we've been meeting every day at 8:30. Below that is all the different Zoom classrooms. Here they can click on these to access the different launch meeting Zoom codes and participate in classes. And your kids have done a really good job doing that. We've had a really good attendance. Again, similar to Ms. Richardson, an activity schedule with those directions and access to those Zoom classrooms. And then finally, similar to Ms. Richardson, an opportunity to meet with Ms. Hall should you need to. Similar again to Ms. Richardson's class. Students will be working through workbooks and then accessing assignments through Google Classroom. that is all I have. So I'm going to pass it on to the next person. I've got to figure out, I'm going to stop my share now. There we go.
I believe
And without further ado, Sarah, you're up.
it's supposed to be Miss Jack, but I think she's struggling with her connection. Miss Jack, are you with us?
I think I got some good connection now. Oh, hopefully. Okay, if I lose you, I'm sorry. I'm gonna try and top as I talk. So hopefully we'll get something out of it. So I'm gonna share my screen as well and kind of walk you through my Google Classroom and our day-to-day in social studies. All right, so my Google Classroom for our 1A students says all 5th grade social studies, all 1A. There are no assignments on the stream. This is just if kids have general questions. So to find everything you need, you go to classwork, and then all of my topics are organized over here. My daily Zoom links for everything are here. Morning meetup for homeroom, my office hours, the red group Zoom, and the blue group Zoom. So all you have to do is go to that topic, and they are always there. They do not change. I've got some maps posted if the kids need any kind of map reference. I'll continue to add to this as we go through. I've also got some extra help videos and extra help materials. For example, I posted one video here, another kind of reading passage to help reiterate what we had talked about in class one day. Again, I will continue to add to that. These are not assignments. These are just extra help things that they can use outside of class. For my lessons, you go to the daily lessons topic. They are organized by date. There is an assignment for every or I should say a link for every single date. So for example, if you went to 9/4, this is one we've already done. Okay. I will always put what we're gonna do. Let me go to a different one. Sorry. Let me go to one that's more recent. Okay, so I will always put what we're doing in virtual class. So on September 10th, we discussed US geography in terms of regions, states, capitals, directions, neighboring countries, that kind of thing. I will always put, if we do a Google Slides in class, like if I present, that will be here. Anything we use in class, I will link it. And then I will also have an IT assignment. IT is independent time, and the kids know that. In this case, it was a little Google form that I did as an effort grade just to get us going, and that link is also there. In terms of my class, we always start with a virtual lesson, and it usually lasts anywhere from 25 to 35 minutes. And then I only do the virtual lesson for that long so that they have time to do whatever their independent assignment is for that day. And I also try and give them plenty of time to turn those assignments in. So for example, it is very rare that I give them an independent assignment that is due the next day. I will usually give them at least 2 days to do that. And you can see on the calendar over here, I am in orange, I think. So like last week, yeah. So any assignment that I have will be on this calendar, and then you can always click on it and it will take you to that assignment. I think that's pretty much the gist of it. And that's just the related arts schedule. Everyone's got that on their Google Classroom. But yeah, I think that's the basics of my Google Classroom. Did I miss anything?
Sounds good.
Okay.
Okay, well, I guess I am up now, so I will start sharing my screen. If you joined us a little bit late, I'm Ashley Friend, and I teach reading this year. And so I just want to go ahead and put it out there that all the blue that you saw on that calendar, I promise I did not assign those all in one day. We had some technical issues that very first week of school, and we had some get to know you assignments and some Zoom expectations, very brief assignments where they were learning how to turn things in and just getting to know one another. And so I had assigned those that first week of school, and then did not, a lot of folks had trouble with accessing those. So I I just extended those deadlines. So what you saw there was that. But this is the main Google page, and I just want to start by just showing you, hopefully your students are feeling very confident about accessing Google Classroom at this point. We are also encouraging them, if you look up here at my bookmarks, I have nearly everything that I use on a daily basis bookmarked up here at the top, and we have shown the students how they are going to access those things right here. So if you are looking for Google Classroom, because if you haven't already, you have the ability as a parent or guardian to access your student's classroom as a guardian. If you don't know how to do that, I recommend talking to whichever homeroom teacher your child belongs to about doing that, or sending the class that you are particularly interested in. I know my own children have classes that they favor over others, and because they have some that they are not as excited about, they require a little bit more encouragement from me to get work done in those classes. So they've already shown you how to get into the classes, and you can see all of them are right here. And again, if you click the calendar, all of these weeks, as you can see, they're all color coded. So every time that we have an assignment for students, and I will say, when I say assignment, it's something that is posted in Google Classroom. The reason I wanted to clarify that is I know Mr. Weinbarger mentioned at one point that students in his class are required to type every 5 minutes, or 5 minutes every day, 5 minutes every day on Typing Club to get that typing practice as part of their writing instruction. Because that is a continuous assignment, it's a free standalone assignment, there's really not a need to post that every single day on Classroom. So I feel like I needed to point that out, because this assignment, the blue actually represents the reading classroom. And let me go back. If you look at this assignment right here, this is a video that they need to watch. It takes a few minutes, and I've put it on here as an assignment to remind them that they need to watch it by Friday of this week. It's not for a grade. but they do have a journal that goes with this assignment. They know how to access it by now, but I will be happy to show you what that looks like. And this is the Reading Google Classroom. And as my team members have already mentioned, the easiest way to find those assignments in this class is to click the classwork tab up here. And you'll notice that I have a lot more stuff over here on the topics. There are a lot of things that we as a team did in common, but I feel like as a reading teacher, I have to have my hands in a lot of different cookie jars. Because we have to cover reading strategies, we need to cover vocabulary. We are doing summaries at some point soon, spelling, and then I have a place for daily lessons, Zoom links. The kids do not see all of this yet because I have no intention of overwhelming them. So right now, they can only see like Zoom links, their daily lessons, reading strategies. If they're in my homeroom, they can see homeroom only. All right, and then Mrs. Hall, if they need to meet with her for some kind of guidance. This link, every single classroom at Waco has directions for meeting with Mrs. Hall because she wanted to be readily available. Our students have gone through so much trauma with COVID, and we just wanted to make that resource just really available to students. So the first thing that I really want to bring to your attention, I already showed you, and my teammates showed you the calendar option, which is really nice. If you go up to I call it the hamburger menu. My students laugh that we've got the waffle over here, we have the meatballs over here, and then this is the hamburger, but they're all food related. If you look at the resources over here, and you'll see that it's at the very tippy top of my page. The reason that this is at the top is I have a living document here. I have a planner for students. If they ever have a question about what they need to do in my classroom, they can go to this planner at the top of the page. And this document is updated daily. The reason that it's updated daily, and I'm going to continue it. As you can see, I've already got links to the slides that I've created, but I intend to keep going with this so long as we are virtual. I've got, looks like a student on there right now checking to make sure they've done their work, that makes my heart happy. But the reason that I did this is, again, we have a lot of assignments that, maybe we didn't get done with something in class, or maybe it's an assignment that lasts all week long and we just don't want to make an assignment where it's supposed to be for a grade or something like that, but we want to make sure they do it. A perfect example is that strategy notebook that I mentioned earlier. This should say reading, so I'm going to edit it. But your students all have an interactive notebook in their Google Drive. It's not necessarily a homework assignment that I am going to check today, but we're learning reading strategies every week. Every week I'm giving them a new video of me showing and detailing a reading strategy. It's normally only a few minutes long, but then they get to go and take some notes in a notebook that I've created for them. And I'm only going to check that notebook at the end of every semester, every 9 weeks. So they're responsible for taking those notes, but it's not necessarily an assignment that they need to complete at any specific time and have turned in to me. The expectation is we are going to cover specific strategies, and by the end of those 9 weeks, they should have some notes on things they learned about that strategy, how it was helpful, maybe a particular reading strategy that they found was more helpful than another. So I say all that to say this is something that the students just really appreciated in the last week, to not get overwhelmed with trying to manage all the different classrooms, or what did I have to do here, Again, they don't have planners this year. And I think it has helped them a lot with just making sure that they know what to do. And this, I've already got things on here for later in this week. However, like I said, this is changing every day. I was able to stick with my plan for today, and I wanted to give, students and parents a heads up of what's coming, but we might have technological issues tomorrow and I may not be able to connect at school. And so something that we planned to cover in class didn't get covered, and I may have to shift things a little bit. So this is a living, breathing document in that it does change every single day, and I will continue to add to it. But your students will know where to find this. And if you as a parent ever have a question about, okay, Sally, what were you supposed to do today? What's your homework? You can say, hey, open up that reading planner. Let's check and make sure that we've done everything this week. And it's documentation for you as a parent to make sure that they are doing what they need to. Of course, we're hoping to push them toward that expectation by the end of the year that they're middle school ready and they can manage these things on their own. But let's be honest, they've had a hard road here the last few months, and so they need to be eased into that a little bit. So that was something I felt like I could offer to them to help them with that. But my main goal, obviously, is to help them with their reading skills. So we are working on vocabulary. Here in a couple of weeks, we'll get started with this. Normally, this is way more fun doing it in person because we had, I have an interactive Greek and Latin root notebook that they get to color, and they have like flaps they can manipulate, and it's way more fun. I turned it into something in their Google Drive that they can use. So I will show you really quickly what a sample of that would look like. Each of my students this year have a folder that looks like this. And we have not even touched the Greek and Latin root notebook. This is something that students would have, and you probably remember from your school supply list that there were composition notebooks in there. One of them was earmarked to be the Greek and Latin root notebook. Well, I guess it's yet to be known whether we'll get to do this in person, but if we have to do it online, I'm prepared for it, and students have their very own copy of this Greek and Latin root notebook that they will get to make their very own. They'll get to, add their name to it. They will get to write the meaning of these root words. And I've got like a table of contents of which ones they'll do when, and explanations of how these Greek and Latin roots work. So we're really building their understanding of the English language. So when they come across unfamiliar words in their reading, they can say, well, I don't know what it means to circumvent, but I do know that circ or circum means around. So I know this word has something to do with going around something, right? That's the point, is I'm helping them build vocabulary and helping them understand what they read, even if they don't know that particular word. So that's one of the things that they have in this. Another one is their reading interactive student notebook. This one right here is all about their standards. So it actually lines up with everything that you have in that reading notebook. It's all going to be right in here. And they have already, this one obviously hasn't been worked in because this is just my sample one, but they have already started manipulating this to be able to, we're in informational text right now. So if I go down here to the section on informational text, we're working on main idea right now. They can learn about main idea, and of course this coincides with anchor charts that I have and things that we do in class, and then they can take their own notes on this. So again, these are things that we would have done in class, and I guess over the summer I saw the writing on the wall that there was a really good chance we might not be back, and I said, how can I still make this work? So students already know where these are. They've already got them bookmarked in their drive, and so we are plugging right along with these. The last one is their reading strategies. I mentioned that each week students are learning a new reading strategy. Normally that reading strategy would have been covered in guided reading. Now, I don't have a way to do guided reading in the traditional sense right now, but I can still very much teach students practical reading strategies. And so one of them, the first one we learned was this one right here, their vocabulary strategies, which you saw that they needed to take notes on in that, that calendar earlier. So these are their vocabulary strategies. They loved practicing these in class, and we had a lot of fun with it. And so they're just learning these strategies hands-on in the classroom, a lot of times in group work, and then they're just taking notes in this reading strategy notebook. And that's really it for the things other than what's in Google Classroom. And like I said, because each student has their own folder, you will not be able to find those items in Google Classroom simply because each student has their own copy. We're going to be working on it and adding to it throughout the year. And I'm only going to check those about once a term. And that is for them to get time to add to those skills, and also for Miss Friend's sanity, because that is 80 some folders for me to go through and check. So I don't plan on doing that on a weekly basis. So other than that, everything is organized topically on here. The reason that I did that rather than weekly is because I want students to be able to go back and review that, that topic whenever they need to. For example, our reading strategies right here, our new one that we started today, they open up every Sunday. I post a new reading strategy. There's a video that I have taken where I am explaining the strategy and I'm modeling the strategy. And they have all week to watch it, but I recommend watching it sooner rather than later because we are actively using these strategies in the classroom. Like I said, these vocabulary strategies that we did last week, we spent a couple of days, actually every day after, it was really Tuesday through Friday, we were practicing vocabulary strategies and referencing that. So while I give them through Friday, it's in their best interest to watch it sooner rather than later. But this, I have it organized by topic so that they say, you know what, I really don't remember how I'm supposed to use this summarizing strategy and why it's important. Let's say they are working on a summary for this class and they can't remember how to do it. They can go back and watch this video at any time. This link will be here and it will be under reading strategies rather than trying to remember now, did Miss Friend cover that in August or September? And was it the beginning of the month or the end? Right, so that is the reason that I organized it this way. And like I said, there are a lot of things over here that your students don't have access to yet because I have not introduced them. You got a letter from me about students completing summaries this year. We are working our way up to that now that we are covering summaries. Their first one is going to be due next Friday. But we're building up to that. We're covering summarizing right now, and they're going to struggle at first. I'm just gonna be honest about that one. They are going to struggle with summarizing at first, and that's okay. The struggle is part of the experience and becoming fluent readers and writers. The idea is just to have students think about what they've read and be able to communicate that to others. That demonstrates their comprehension and, of course, gets them engaged in that academic conversation. So that's the goal of summarizing, and that's the reason that we practice that as much as we do, is it's a very important skill for them that I would like them to master by the end of the year. So that's why we start it pretty early on, to make sure that they get that. And I believe it's time for Q&A. Is that right?
Yeah, if you're done, yeah, we'll answer any questions that anyone else has. Do we have anyone that wants to go first? Anybody? I don't have video, so if anyone is waving at the camera, I cannot see you. It's pulling all of my internet just to do this.
I'll just say the reason we wanted to have this meeting was simply because as parents ourselves, most of us, we recognize the struggle of not having a clue what your child is doing all day, not knowing how to help them, not knowing where the resources even are if you wanted to help them. And so our goal today was to show you around and just to help you find the resources that you need to help your child, grandchild, whatever, be successful, and then answer any other questions that you might have about something we've covered, or the way that we're handling things in one way or another, if we can answer any of those kind of questions.
No.
I have a question.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
This is
Yep.
Ashley Kester, Paxton's mom. Is there a way for the 1B students to have access to all of your instructional Zoom lessons? Because the biggest thing we're struggling with is just not having any context, which I understand is part of 1B, but we are struggling.
I think the best thing we have to offer you is to get into our Google Classrooms. There are lots of resources posted within there in each of the classes, and it gives you access to live lessons if the timing works for your family. Would that help?
I'm sorry, it kicked me out right when you started talking, so.
That's okay. I have a little one here eating too that I'm trying to shush. I think the best thing we have for you is our Google Classrooms. We've got lots of resources posted in there, so we could get you the codes that the other kids had. And then our Zoom links are in there, and it's not a 24-hour Zoom link, but hang on, I know my internet's out. There we go. But if the timing worked with your family, you could possibly sit in on a Zoom class if the timing works right for you and your family.
Okay, well, I will get with each of
Okay.
you and get a
Nope.
schedule of when you guys
Yeah.
get on and see if that helps.
Okay. Anyone else? If you don't have any questions, you are free to go for the night.
There is a hand up.
Andrea.
Yeah. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. Our biggest problem seems to be keeping up with when things need to be turned in, how they need to be turned in, whether that's, submitting it through the Google Classroom itself. I'm taking pictures of certain things and sending them in for my daughter. And so journal entries and things like that. You know, I don't know if I need to be doing that for 5th grade as well. It's just trying to keep up with how to make sure you're seeing what you need to be seeing is kind of our most confusing aspect, I think, right now. And I don't know if you can really address that collectively or not, but
I can take the lead on this one. So one reason we wanted to share our individual classrooms with you, we tried to keep them similar, but of course we all have our own style and spin on things. For me personally in social studies, if they do a Google form, for example, it comes directly back to us. If they are editing in a Google Slides, the way we have it set up in Google Classroom, once they click turn in, it comes back to us.
okay.
I tell them, like for their 9/11 memorials, we showed them today. I said, guys, take a picture and send it to me as well if you want. So we try to be specific and intentional when choosing our assignments so that it's not extra, have to send this in or have to show that. So anytime it's a Google form, you don't have to worry about it. As soon as he finishes it and clicks submit, it comes to us.
Okay.
I know Miss Richardson and Miss Friend, I'm not sure if they've started iReady lessons yet, but they can monitor the time that the kids are spending on iReady, if they're completing their lessons, and that sort of thing. So anytime I have an assignment for social studies, just go to that day on Google Classroom and it'll tell you exactly what the assignment is and how to submit it.
Okay.
And I will try to be very specific about that from here on out, whether it's, you know, a Google form or a Google Slides or a project of some sort.
Okay.
Anything they do in their social studies workbooks, you do not need to turn in. That is our practice.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that I want them to do it, of course, but I don't expect them to take a picture and show it to me or to send the paper back to school. That's kind of our practice piece for right now.
Okay.
Hope that helps. Does
Yeah,
anyone
that
else
does
have
actually.
anything? Miss Friend.
I see Beth's talking, but we can't hear her. We can't hear you, Beth.
How about now? Can you get me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of. Uh,
Might need to type it. Oh, as far as the reading book goes, iReady reading book, it's never going to hurt to turn something in. If we don't need it, we can always just send it back to you. We've got those big totes at the front of the building and they're labeled by grade level. As long as your child puts their name on it, you know, we're going to know who it belongs to. That's with my own kids, I always just feel better safe than sorry. Turn it in, and if they don't need it, it'll just get sent back to me, or they can toss it if they didn't want it. But it certainly wouldn't hurt anything if you're ever not sure. Even, you know, if I don't know what Miss Richardson wants to do with the math, but as far as the reading goes, I know you and I talked about that earlier in the week. At one point, we did it as a homework assignment, and then another day we did it together in class. And either way, they're going to get credit for doing it, and we're getting the practice in. But if it were me, I would just err on the side of caution, turn it in, and then you know that there's no reason to be concerned whether he needed it or didn't, as far as grades go. And as far as turning those assignments in, our 1B kids may or may not turn things in until September 28th or later. And then they're going to be quarantined for at least a couple of days after that. So in no way are we in any hurry to get those documents. We know that grading is going to be a very slow process this year, and we just have to accept it for what it is because of the precariousness of our situation this year.
And I kind of added in the chat box as well. Never be afraid to send us a dojo and ask. It's never going to be a bother. No one's ever going to be annoying. We'd rather you be sure than unsure. So if you're not sure of how to turn something in or if something needs to be turned in, just send us a dojo anytime.
You can probably see in the chat, Ms. Richardson has responded saying, same with math, I do not want pictures of the math book. If I ever need to collect work, I'll turn it into a form and have the kids submit it. Once they hit submit, I'll receive it. So I don't need to click a button in the Google Classroom. This is similar for me. Anytime they have any work to turn in whatsoever, I'll turn it into a form, and that'll be an assignment for them to complete, which will automatically come to me. As far as journal entries go, they want to turn those in. I will do periodic journal checks, but hopefully I'll do those when students are in class.
Anyone else? We hope this was somewhat beneficial. We apologize for our lack of internet as well. Believe it or not, we struggle with the same things you guys do at home. So sorry for the rough internet, but hopefully this was beneficial of some sort. And if you have any other specific questions for a specific teacher, don't be afraid to contact us individually.
Thank you all.
Thank you.